Good morning, everyone. I'm John Clml. Pleased to continue as chair of this distinguished group, and I want to welcome you to our second of our special strategic meetings for, the joint boards of the New York Power Authority and Canal System. With me today is almost a full complement of my fellow trustees. Judge Nicandri, Mike Balboni, Dennis Trainer, Tracy McKibben. Tony Pesente is excused as he was unable to join us today. Obviously, the bulk of the attendees are doing so via video conference. Gil and some members of his team are in our White Plains headquarters, and will be presenting from there, as well as others via video. As always, our meeting's been duly noticed as required by open meetings law, and hence I'm pleased to call our special meeting to order. We've all received materials in advance, our agenda included. Again, it's a narrowly focused agenda, so unless there's any amendments or questions, I'd ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Judge. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. As is typical, we will begin with a relatively short executive session, plus or minus 45 minutes. We'll be back at it in public open session. So if I could, I'd ask for a motion to conduct an executive session pursuant to Section 105 of the Public Officers Law.
So moved.
Thank you, guys. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will adjourn to executive session and be back with you in a bit. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. As always, we had a robust and energetic discussion while in executive session, but consistently no votes were taken. With that, I'd ask for a motion to resume our meeting in open session.
So moved.
Thanks, Dennis. Have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Tracy. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? We're back in open session. As we said up front, this is a special meeting to continue and further our strategic dialogue. The teams continue to be actively engaged, and with that, I'll pass the baton back to Gil to kick off this next phase of our dialogue.
Thank you very much, Chairman Clml and the Board of Trustees, and welcome back again for staff and the public who are watching us via the internet. This is the second of our strategic planning retreat with NYPA's Board of Trustees. We're calling it our Vision 2030 strategic plan. And today we're going to cover 4 topics, what we're calling 2 strategic initiatives and 2 foundational pillars. Of the 2 strategic initiatives, I'll give a little summary on what we're thinking about decarbonizing our gas power plants in New York City and Long Island. And Sarah Salati and her team will talk about our customer and how we are putting the customer at the center of this energy transition in New York State. And then 2 foundational pillars will be discussed first by Christine Pizzo. She will cover resource alignment, which includes process excellence, knowledge management, and workforce development initiatives here at NYPA. And then the last foundational pillar that will be discussed today will be covered by Saul Rojas to discuss our enterprise resilience program. So let me begin by talking about what we're currently thinking about the power plants, natural gas power plants that we own in New York City and Long Island. Next slide, please. So to be able to be a trusted partner and be with our customer in this journey of decarbonization, NYPA wants to lean in and be a leader in decarbonizing its own assets and using those assets as test beds for innovation that's needed to decarbonize our natural gas power plants. Next slide, please. On October 13th, we announced a unique first-of-a-kind agreement with environmental justice groups, a coalition called PEAK, P-E-A-K, based in New York City, to work with us side by side and explore options, all of the options to transition our peaker plants in New York City and Long Island to low and no carbon technologies and resources. And so we're going to be working with the PEAK Coalition. We're going to be supporting them and their consultants in that process to start looking at what may be possible to do today and in the future in transitioning those assets. We are excited and we are pleased with this partnership with the PEAK Coalition. It's not going to be easy because we need to ensure that the reliability and resiliency requirements of New York City and Long Island are not compromised whatsoever as we go through this transition. But I thank the PEAK Coalition and their members for willing to work with us, look at this on a fact-based analysis, and try things out, be at the leading edge and really explore what is possible. So with that, I will now open it up to any questions or comments from the board before we move into the discussion about our customers.
So this is just a quick update on what's the beginning of a very long journey here, correct, Gil?
That's correct. That's correct. But it's important to note that there are certain things we can do today. You know, we are going to be looking at short duration batteries to install in tandem with maybe one or two of our power plants and see how that works. That's been done in other jurisdictions like California. We're also going to be working with the Electric Power Research Institute to potentially look at green hydrogen to blend into the natural gas system, fuel supply system of maybe one or two of our power plants.
And we want to ensure we're doing it. I know you're working on this within the context of the broader production system, if you will, to ensure public policy is well served here. I mean, the assets that we're focused on, relatively speaking, are newer and more efficient than other facilities that are out there. So we want to ensure that what we're doing makes good sense within the broader context, correct?
That's correct. As you pointed out, our plants are the newest, relatively speaking, to all the other power plants in New York City and Long Island. And we want to make sure that this transition from where we are today to 70% by 2030 and carbon-free electricity by 2040 is done for really to optimize the benefit of the citizens and the ratepayers in New York City and Long Island, while again making sure that we are always meeting the reliability and resiliency needs of those areas.
Okay, great. Yeah, unless anyone else has any, obviously much more to come.
Much more to come.
So appreciate that quick update.
Thank you.
I know you,
I'm going to pass it on now to Sarah to talk about and her team to talk about the customer vis-a-vis our contributions to the achievement of the CLCPA goals. Sarah?
Great, thanks, Gil. Good morning, everyone. It's a dreary day, but exciting topic, so hopefully we'll balance it out.
sunny and bright in Buffalo.
Sorry?
Sunny and bright in Buffalo.
Oh, is it? I should move there.
Always is.
No, we've articulated previously the trends that we see in the energy sector, the ambitious policy goals relative to climate, the technology that's being introduced into the sector, and the cost declines that are making renewable integration and other technologies more cost effective. And then also the evolution of customer preferences, taking our personal approach into our workplace relative to access to information, convenience, and simplicity. And so it's really against that backdrop that we see that in this energy transformation, decisions are more complex for our customers. And NYPA has and will continue to help our customers navigate the complexity of the energy transformation and helping them achieve their sustainability objectives. And within that, I highlight the financial, social, and environmental objectives that they would be having. We have been a trusted advisor for decades now with a range of products and services, and we'll continue to put the customers at the forefront and in the center of our 2030 strategy. And that goes to all of our customers, our munis and co-ops, local governments, state agencies, as well as the small and medium-sized and large commercial industrial customers that are located across the state and support driving the economy of New York State and fundamentally supporting the livelihoods of all of the people of New York. We have a range of products and services, and all of them are, again, in supporting our customers, supporting us meeting the targets of the CLCPA, as Gil had articulated ahead of time. We have two predominantly focused areas. One is our electricity supply, which tees off of our large hydroelectric power facilities, as well as behind the meter services. And you'll hear from my teammates about a range of the offers that we have on the table. But fundamentally, again, we're looking to help our customers navigate the energy transformation and fundamentally support the state's objectives and clean energy policy agenda, and meet the aspiration of our vision statement that is a thriving and resilient New York. So with that, I'll pass it on to Keith and Evan and Rebecca, who will share some of the highlights of the products and services we have for our customers.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, trustees, and the public. Mr. Chairman, I feel like I owe you a virtual fist bump since we can't be physically co-located today. Kind of missed that, thank you. As you can see on this slide, the goals tie to both the state and our customers' evolution. Our customers have greater expectations for improved service levels, of course, with the need to decarbonize, and both of which are growing. So what are our customers saying? Well, a lot of the conversations around high uncertainty relative to macroeconomic recovery from the pandemic, and that's going to continue to challenge them. But we're finding that leveraging our current programs coupled with new business models, becoming more of that trusted and integrated provider, serves to advance their desire for that cleaner, more decentralized, distributed, and transacted electric grid. And again, consistent with what Sarah just said, all that are aligned with the objectives of the CLCPA. I should mention that these targets will need to be more formalized with our sister agencies to ensure they're accounted for as we look to achieve these aggressive goals. I'm also confident that as a leading organization, we could make a significant difference through the deployment of our clean energy solutions. And that includes what we're showing here on this slide. Again, distributed energy resources, flexibility, and technology, just to name a few. I think that the board is familiar with our customer base and also recognize that some customers are just more advanced than others. So what we're doing is we're going to prioritize and priority rank those customers who are lagging in these areas and then help them to make that forward leap. We're showing you the midpoint targets here, so it's clear as to where we expect to land by the end of the first 5 years of our plan. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that both NYPA and our customers were forced to move from on-prem to off-prem remote work, and that's something obviously that nobody expected. But to respond to that, we have adjusted and heightened our customer engagement efforts, communicating with our customers more at a time when they really need assurance that we are here for them, will remain that way throughout this crisis and obviously beyond. Our customers asked me to thank the trustees in particular for your support and the bold steps that we took to help them navigate these trying times. And we anticipated an increasing dependency in the near term, also recognizing that for the next 10 years, we will play a very pivotal role in how we navigate the transformation of the energy marketplace, again, consistent with the CLCPA. Next slide, please.
Keith, before you move to
Sure.
the next slide, can you give us some context as to where we are today versus those targets that you've well quantified, well captured here, and or at least identify the most significant, most challenging lifts, or where we're on track, or where we need to significantly accelerate the pace of change?
Sure. I'll take the 11 TBTU from our energy efficiency work through that program and through NIAM. We're probably about 40% of that target to date. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, we're accounting for that. State agencies are challenged right now with budget. So we are looking for opportunities to help them to advance a lot of the projects that are in our pipeline. I think that you folks are well aware of. And we're looking for, obviously financing solutions to help advance those goals. But we are encouraged, we are seeing movement, and agencies do want to move forward with these projects. It's just a matter of, post-election, whether there's federal support or not, and how quickly some of these agencies can sign on to these capital projects.
I think we could ask Evan to respond on the distributed solar and customer-sided storage.
Absolutely, Sarah. So, Mr. Chairman, right now where we are for the distributed solar generation, we are approximately 60 to 65%. We have 260 megawatts of solar PV in various stages of development signed with our customers. So we're making good headway and progress on that front. And as I'll touch upon in a moment, that is a trend that we're seeing grow and grow between our customer base. On the customer-sided storage goal of 50 megawatts by 2025, we are currently right now at about 30 to 35 megawatts of battery storage in development. And by development, that means we have executed agreements with our customers to move forward. Some of those projects are in construction, some of them are in early phases of development. But we're making good strides towards specifically the 2025 goals or targets.
And on the grid scale storage, I can comment that we have the 20 megawatts that's under construction up in the North Country. And as Gail highlighted earlier in our discussion, we have facilitated the construction of storage on our Clcpa site in supporting the private sector bidding into the Con Ed RFP, and that could be up to about 100 megawatts. So again, we're on our way to helping facilitate that number as well. And then the renewable contracted supply, clearly we have our baseline hydro that we continue to want to ensure is preserved and recognized in the market, as we've talked about in the prior session. We have issued LSR procurements as well as establishing a pathway for our customers to meet these numbers, both with REC purchases from NYSERDA as well as select procurements and contracting with with assets that might not have otherwise fit into the NYSERDA procurement. So again, we're taking steps towards that and making good progress. The GHG reductions at the bottom basically is a summation of the targets above, and so should be aligned with that. Again, as Keith said, the on-site energy savings is probably the biggest challenge we have there, because again, we have hit the low-hanging fruit with our customers, and so some of the projects that would have to be undertaken to move those numbers forward are more invasive, more capital intensive, and it's to be determined as we look forward with the impact of COVID in the immediate term. Does that answer your question?
It's very helpful. Appreciate that. So as you guys come back to us next meeting with metrics and all the trend lines, that that's the kind of information that'll be helpful for us to evaluate the likelihoods, probabilities. Do we need to lean in further, et cetera? So yeah, thanks for that context, sir.
And no problem. And I mean, when we came up with these numbers, we did look at our existing pipeline, but fundamentally, we also did a total addressable market analysis that looked at our existing customer base and potential future customer base to try to be, aggressive, but still somewhat reasonable.
Okay, very helpful. Thanks.
You're welcome. Next slide, please. So here I want to provide you with a brief overview of our mature business lines, and I'll focus on economic development and energy efficiency first, and then a high-level overview on our customer solutions across our fastest growing business lines. On the economic development side, the program remains strong with more than 411,000 jobs created or retained, and nearly 23 billion in capital investment commitments. Our energy efficiency pipeline remains strong, building off 3 billion in historical investments, more than 2,300 projects completed, and over 450 that are currently active. Our customers have benefited from more than 250 million a year in savings, and we've removed nearly 1.2 million tons of GHG from the atmosphere, coupled with approximately 265 megawatts of demand being taken off the grid. I want to emphasize that moving forward, we will do it in a more agile and analytically driven way. And again, we're leveraging our assets, our people, our processes, and technology so that we can provide meaningful and cost-effective solutions for our customers. And one way to do this is by identifying the customer journey and mapping out those processes and capabilities. And we do that through co-development solutions with our customers to ensure that we're meeting their needs and we're not doing this in isolation. We also understand that advancing these solutions requires an ecosystem and interdependencies with internal teams, external partners, suppliers, and again, our customers. So we plan to maintain and build upon those strong interdependencies to ensure our customer success well into the future. Next slide, please. So here are some examples of recent customer solution projects that have enabled decarbonization. I'm going to cover energy efficiency, and Evan is going to discuss distributed energy resources, and Rebecca will discuss EVOLVE program. But if we focus on the 5 cities energy plan, this was an effort to improve energy efficiency by 20% by 2020 for municipal facilities and 20% by 2030 citywide. The concept here was to mirror what we were doing with state agencies conceptually under Executive Order 88. And we started in 2016 with 5 of the largest cities in the state, Albany, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Yonkers. We funded comprehensive detailed energy master plans for each city, and they became the roadmap for project development. We worked closely with the large cities. We assigned energy managers to act as liaisons and to be the lead for project prioritization and implementation. And they were linked directly to our business development team. So just some of the accomplishments from these efforts, there are about 7.6 million in grants awarded, about 1.4 million in annual energy savings, about 8,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas savings, technical support for 3+ years. There were project installations at over 200 locations, and we are now doing some massive LED street lighting projects as well as DER advisory services and other efforts with these cities. I'm now going to hand it over to Evan, and he'll discuss the DER advisory process.
Thank you very much, Keith, and good morning again, everyone. So today I have the opportunity, really the privilege, to speak to our Clean Energy Advisory Services, or Distributed Energy Resources services that NYPA has implemented on behalf of our customer base throughout New York State. And as I'd like to call it, it really is a turnkey owner's rep, trusted energy advisor service for our customers. As you may imagine, incorporating such solutions like solar and battery storage is new for a lot of our customers, particularly throughout their organizations. So what we've really done through cross-functional teams at NYPA have worked together to streamline processes, and those are things like contracts and mechanisms such as that all of our customers, right, can benefit from. It's a huge component when we're looking at incorporating newer solutions such as this. And we're also working very closely with the private sector as well. A majority of solar and battery storage projects in New York State are through long-term power purchase agreements that are financed by the private sector. So through previous solicitations that NYPA has conducted, open public solicitations, we're working very closely with the sector to make sure that, you know, we're developing good projects in our role as that in the owner's rep role, and also identifying with our customers, optimizing sites, right, that make the most sense to incorporate these types of solutions. Because while our customers have, you know, the trends for our customers have been growing tremendously in this space. But while they have high sustainability goals and target goals, we also want to be fiscally responsible, and as do our customers. So it's really optimizing sites and making sure we figure out where the most, you know, appropriate places to incorporate these solutions are. And as you heard Sarah and Keith just touch on, the trend in this space is growing tremendously. When this service was established a few years ago here at NYPA, we had a couple of customers enrolled in it, and now we're working with dozens of customers across the state, from our state agencies and authorities to our local municipalities, and, you know, both supply and traditional energy services customers. And I think our project that's highlighted here, our partnership with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, it is a very large solar plus battery storage project at JFK International Airport. When completed, will be the largest solar plus storage project currently in development in the state. But not only that, this is a really unique project. It took, you know, over a year to develop with the Port Authority, but it's really interesting where half of the project will go to service the needs of the airport, which has significant load. So half of the solar and storage will go directly to the benefits of the airport and meeting those objectives. But which is also interesting is the Port Authority being a good neighbor and taking that very seriously, that component. This project, half of it will be constructed as a community solar project, which means that that portion of the project will be offered to the local surrounding communities around JFK. And as you can see highlighted here, a significant portion of that will go to low to moderate income households. And through this process and agreement structure, they will actually be receiving a guaranteed bill savings per the policy of community solar in New York State. So it's certainly trailblazing, not only in the 5 boroughs, but in New York State as well. It will be the largest community solar project once completed in the 5 boroughs, which is really terrific. But this is just a highlight. We're seeing more and more of our customer base looking at these types of models and unique applications. And of course, these all go to our contributions, and our customers are contributions to the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act as well, as you heard here today. So with that, I'll hand it over to Rebecca to speak to our e-mobility and what we're doing in that space.
Evan, before we go to Rebecca, one question I have, because I'm always nervous or interested in when we have, you know, not available for total cost. And part of the reason why I'd like to hear you discuss it is, have we set at what our target spend is? And there are 2 reasons why I think that's important. One is to make sure that we're demonstrating fiscal discipline, but also making sure we're being aggressive enough to continue to support this, I think, important effort and important projects throughout the state. So why is that? Have we not carved out a set amount, or is this because we don't know ultimately what it's going to cost? But I imagine we've given some indication of what we think our financial contribution will be to these projects, right? Why is that left open?
Sure. So in this case, our traditional advisory services is where NIPA is not financed in the project or putting up front the capital. That is coming from the developer in this case. And the reason we bring in, as I mentioned, the private sector is the developer can monetize federal tax credits where NIPA nor our customers cannot. So our role is that advisor, owner's rep. What makes it attractive to our customers is there is no upfront capital costs associated to that. So what this really comes down to is really almost a net present value. Is what is that cost of energy going to be, right, for our customers, and what is the benefit, right, the avoided cost of incorporating that solution. NIPA gets for our cost recovery to ensure that we're recovering our costs. That is provided by the developer to NIPA to recover our particular costs for doing our service, right, our in-kind time.
Okay, so we're not providing any financing for these projects.
That's correct.
All right, thanks.
Generally speaking, we find that the customers don't want to own and operate these assets. They prefer to have the purchase power agreement where the developer basically is assuming the owning and operating the liability of performing and providing the energy. That they've been given the option, and that's where our customer base is preferred to be.
Rebecca.
Okay, Rebecca, floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Or the car is yours.
The car is mine. So I'm talking this morning about the work that Evolve New York is doing with the Department of State on the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Of course, Evolve New York is NYPA's customer-facing, fast-charging EV business. I'm currently situated at a construction site in Screwen Lake, New York, where we're putting in a charger to make the Adirondacks more accessible for EV drivers. So I think it's apt that I'm sitting here in my car this morning. Through the end of this year, we'll have about 6 sites with about 25 chargers live. Through the end of next year, we'll have close to 200 chargers at 50 sites. And these downtown revitalization sites are just a subset of those. So these are 10 downtown areas. Again, we're partnering with Department of State to identify these locations. We've got 8 of them identified so far. And these are going to be fast chargers that will serve downtown areas in all 10 Regional Economic Development Council zones. Each one provides truly high-speed charging. And I think what's really exciting about these particular locations is that they help to really democratize electric vehicles so that anyone in New York can start to envision themselves as an electric vehicle driver and can have access to charging right in their home community. Of course, they also play a vital role for tourism, attracting EV drivers to these downtown areas. But I think for the residents, they're also really important. When we look at the Evolve New York portfolio as a whole, about 1/3 of our sites are located in environmental justice communities. But when we look at these DRI sites, Downtown Revitalization Initiative sites, so far 100% of them are actually located in EJ areas. So that's something that we're really proud of. This also plays a really important role when it comes to market transformation. So of course, NYPA's investment in EV fast charging is really designed to help New York State get from that early adopter phase into mass market adoption of EVs. And we're also setting a really great example for private developers who might be on the fence about investing capital in EV fast charging. We're paving the way to greater infrastructure investment. So I think all of those things make these really exciting projects. They're really a critical part of our portfolio. And we're really excited to see these materialize over the next year or so. Any questions?
Rebecca, Tracy again. Same question for you as I had for Evan. Obviously, we've been engaged on Evolve for some time and been doing really good and important work there. So we haven't yet, got our mind around what we expect the cost to be for these new 8 projects that we're going to be focusing on. And when do you expect, because it says, I see the date October 1st, which just passed. And so what's the expectation, or is that something you're going to come back to us with, or what again, part of this is making sure that we're demonstrating fiscal discipline, but also making sure we're aggressive enough in terms of supporting this important initiatives.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's probably a number we'll have to come back to you with, but as a whole, these are more or less market rate sites. We, of course, can reduce our capital outlay by buying in bulk, by competitively bidding for work. But each site is anywhere from 2 to 4 chargers, and there are, definitely variables from one site to another in terms of like make ready costs or, other costs associated with development. So we'll have to come back with more of a, a firm investment. We're just in the phase of identifying all of the sites right now and really designing the charging stations.
Just to add to that, generally speaking, right, there has been the state of the state articulated the desire for 800 chargers to be deployed across the state by 2025, with 400 by the end of 2022. Now with NIPA supporting the deployment of those, clearly being able, with some initial projects identified and sites identified, but really looking to balance depending on the participation of the private sector, with NIPA being seen as kind of a supportive last resort should there be a need there. Clearly, the board had approved up to $250 million of capital to be put towards Evolve. We believe that we can, meet the 400 by considerably less amount of capital commitment. But again, as we come back to you with financial scenarios relative to all of the Vision 2030 initiatives, that will be a component that we can share. But again, as Rebecca said, we consistently are looking aggressively at driving down the costs. And what's really great, and I think is an example of the animation of the market that NIPA has undertaken, the number of vendors in our pool just 18 months ago dwarfs and was so much smaller than what we've seen in just the last few months when we've gone out to increase our vendor and supplier base. So that's again increasing competition, helping drive down costs, and showing really in a very direct way how NIPA is helping to animate the market and drive the no pun intended electrification of the transport industry.
Great.
Those who don't know where Scroon Lake is, it's halfway between Albany and Montreal. It's on I-87. It's a taking off point for Lake Placid, Tupper Lake, and the ski resorts in that area. So if you have an electric car and you'd like to visit the Adirondacks, Scroon Lake is a good place to put a charge on.
Great, thank
We
you for
hope
that.
you get a charge soon, Rebecca, and we can get you out of your car by the time we see you again.
Yeah, it's drivers have been stopping all morning since I've been here, just excited about this site and really curious about what we're putting in. So it's exciting to see it all come to fruition for sure.
Well, we appreciate the live update.
Absolutely.
You're our action reporter.
Yeah, your field correspondent, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very well done. And Judge, thanks for the TripAdvisor update. All right. I was just up to Lake Placid, although we went the other way. We came through Fort Drummond. We didn't go that way, but anyhow. Okay. Any other questions for Sarah or her team?
Yeah.
Appreciate the report.
Yeah, no problem. It's an exciting time. And I think you see that, NIPA is really on the cutting edge of bringing a number of products and services to our customers and meeting their needs to, accelerate and help meet our Clcpa objectives. But it's great. And NIPA is clearly a leader, and we have a great team across NIPA that's helping bring this all to fruition. So I want to thank all of them.
Well, on the topic of team and talent, no matter how good the plan, takes intellectual capital and people power to implement. So with that, Christine, the floor is yours to talk us through how we're going to make this happen and what it means to the team and talent we have today.
Yeah, that's a great segue. Thank you, Chairman Como.
That's my job. Thanks a lot.
Sure. As Gil said earlier, I'm the executive sponsor for 3 initiatives under resource alignment. And while these initiatives are very different, they all support NYPA's greatest asset, its people. Next slide, please. So I'll quickly set the stage for you. When we began our Strategic Vision 2020, the changes in the energy industry landscape required new skills and capabilities. Workforce turnover was projected to increase due to retirements and increased staff mobility. And the speed in which we needed to act was greatly accelerating. So each of these initiatives were designed to address these challenges. Next slide. So Workforce Planning Initiative began by rebuilding some core HR programs from the ground up. And we seamlessly integrated specific skills and activities that we needed to advance our strategy. So everything that we did, we tied to the strategy or an outcome so that we were all aligned. We engaged the entire organization in the design and curation, not only to get feedback in order to develop programs that fit our needs, but to engage them in the process, give them ownership, and help to bring them along on this journey with us together. In the beginning, we leveraged technology to provide a single application, a platform, so managers and staff can manage all employment across the life cycle. And as we added more programs to our menu in the tool and many outside of this tool, staff began to really advance their skills in managing themselves, managing their teams, providing feedback, coaching, core competency, design and understanding, and goal alignment, not only for their teams downward, but also aligning it up to the strategy. And so as these capabilities continue to grow, we deployed more sophisticated programs such as career development, succession planning, design thinking, innovation, org design, management development to really cultivate a flexible and dynamic workforce. And over the course of this initiative, the HR team led thousands of activities from succession planning to org design. Annually, we analyzed 20,000 points of employee feedback data and incorporated that into our programs. 80% of staff feel that NYPA is providing them development opportunities and growth opportunities. 92% understand how their work contributes to the overall strategy. And our overall employee engagement scores have increased 2 quartiles within the same period, and we've received national recognition as a best employer for the first time in NYPA history. Next slide. The Knowledge Management Initiative is designed to reduce knowledge loss due to this projected turnover and movement, and also provide greater access to information in order to deliver our programs quickly. So to preserve and disseminate and share this knowledge, we deployed programs at both the enterprise level and the individual level. At the enterprise level, we used search tools, we digitized, we implemented document management tools in order to automate that access to information to get it to employees quickly, and then also expose a large volume of content that wasn't readily available. At the individual level, information was captured from our technical experts, but also staff moving in, out, and around the organization to maintain that continuity of knowledge. And as a result, our onboarding time is reduced by half. Millions of documents are now readily discoverable. Hundreds of thousands were digitized, and our lessons learned program captured and implemented hundreds of improvements. Next slide. The Process Excellence Program addressed the need to accelerate the delivery of our programs, but not only delivery, to make sure that they're accurate and efficient. So we use various methods that we applied to our improvement programs, qualitative and quantitative. Experts were trained and they implemented improvements using Agile, Six Sigma, and Lean methodologies. Our process excellence team of Black belts focused on large-scale, complex improvements spanning multiple departments and business units. And we trained staff on these principles and methods. We really wanted to make sure that we were cultivating a culture of continuous improvement so that it's not just an activity, but a mindset that we can execute on every day. Next slide. So our strategy for Vision 2030 continues this investment in our people, advancing our staff capability, and we want to move it to the next level of maturity. So for workforce planning, we're going to continue to engage our staff. We're going to embed our values deeper into our culture. We're going to use new technologies to accelerate learning, such as virtual reality. We're deploying advanced workforce analytics to help with our decision-making, and we want to improve our internal talent pipeline through an enterprise-wide career pathing framework. So we have transparency and clarity around career paths for people, but also give us a better sense of skill gaps and how to address them. In knowledge management, we're integrating the capture and sharing of knowledge in our day-to-day work. Again, we want to make this a part of our daily lives, not just an activity that you do on an ad hoc basis. We're using technologies such as AI and enterprise content management tools. We want to continue automating the access to knowledge so that we can get information to people quickly, but not just information, the right information at the right time to the right people. And process excellence will continue to focus on those high impact areas for improvement. To date, we've saved in that initiative over $10 million in cost and capacity savings. So we want to continue to do that. But again, we also want to drive the adoption across the organization by training employees on these methods and specifically driving them to improve project management, resource allocation, and their prioritization capabilities. Overall, these initiatives, we intend to cultivate an organization that demonstrates NYPA's vision, mission, and values, but also that they're capable and engaged to deliver Strategy 2030 and beyond. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions.
So what is what keeps you up at night in terms of thinking about the alignment or the gaps that exist? Obviously, always great to hear again of the continued progress that you're making, and kudos to you, Gil, and the entire organization. But as you look ahead and evaluate the alignment with aggressive goals and expectations, just tell us what gives you the most notable concern, or where do we have to lean in beyond the trend lines that exist today from a team and talent and process standpoint?
Yeah, and I don't know if I'll say it keeps me up at night, but the workforce planning, career pathing framework is really important for us because we want to build an internal pipeline, reduce reliance on sort of external staff, and that can help us accelerate delivery, reduce so that transition time, we retain knowledge. That's that pipeline that we really want to create. And I think this program will help us do that because it's not only looking at career paths and skills vertically and horizontally, but it's saying out of this population, how many people have this particular skill, and then we can use that to deploy as needed. So it really will help us become more flexible. Not only provide transparency for employees to know where they can go throughout the organization, where they can build skills. So I think it's like a double, triple bottom line there, where we're getting engagement, career development, reducing time to onboard, saves on knowledge loss. But the flexibility that I think it will provide us is one of the greatest things that I think we can benefit from. And that's one of the main programs that we're looking at in terms of the workforce.
Any specific skill gaps you think we have, Christine? Any areas where we need to focus or better tap into the market in the 3, 5, 10 years ahead to be as effective and successful as we expect?
Yeah, I mean, there are probably pockets. I'll say I don't think we have a single point of failure and a skill gap. We have, large groups, especially in sort of, the engineering areas, operations. We've got large volumes of people that, while they're in different locations, they have similar skill sets. The skill sets that we always, need to cultivate, sort of the IT analytics, those are, usually the ones that are sort of faster on the market in terms of growth. But those are just some areas. But I don't think we have a single point of failure. But this workforce planning and mapping will help us identify it at more granular level, and then we tie that to succession planning. So our succession planning program sort of identifies, I'll say, successors, not just long-term, but short-term, that we can leverage, and we're slowly closing any gaps there. But I don't think we have a single point of failure, but I think those two areas together will help us bolster our internal pipeline and promote from within instead of pulling from without.
Thank you. Other questions for Christine?
One thing, Christine, one of the things that Joe has always mentioned is that as we transition older assets, there's sometimes things that a person knows intuitively or that they have to physically demonstrate, and you can't necessarily, as you move to the digital world, a memo just doesn't cut it. Have we ever thought of employing a video statement from an individual that we can then create this well of information as it relates to the older technology that is still good and still in use?
Yeah, we have a program right now. It's our knowledge capture program, but we also have a portal where we've got experts, and we have a whole knowledge capture process where it depends on the intervention, but it could consist of videos, and taking screenshots of a process and then process mapping it. We do we also do training. So we identify experts and then identify a pool of people that we want to have sort of these continuous trainings to impart that knowledge. We take, we take notes of all of the sessions and transcribe them. And that's part of our knowledge-based learning library. It's curated content from experts. So we have that. We're focusing on our list of sort of, the experts so that we are capturing that knowledge. It sometimes is hard. It's hard to capture 30 years of knowledge or expertise because it takes you 30 years to kind of get there. And the idea is 30 years from now, we would have sort of captured everything through systems, processes, training, but we're starting with the most critical first. And that's where we digitize documents and created all these interventions for critical roles. But then we also took a broad brush in our knowledge capture program where every person leaving the organization or transferring, we sort of do just a broad capture. So we're hitting this at multiple levels, but we definitely have that as a part of our program, and we want to grow that more in terms of capturing the day-to-day. That's where you get true maturity of knowledge management, is where it's integrated into your sort of daily work, whether it's an after-action report that's tracked and it's automated and you get an alert, right? And then you triage, certain things. So that's the path where we're headed.
Thank you.
Christine, how integrated is Canals into this program?
So Canals has portions of this program. The training is a little bit different. They're, the support that we give them in recruiting or compensation. We help with org design. So we do components of this. As we move forward, we're developing deeper training and development programs for, the Canal staff in conjunction with, with Carol Geiger-Wank in labor.
And institutional knowledge, is that part of the capture as well for Canals?
Yeah, so we have a digitization sort of process in terms of capturing content. We have a person assigned to Canals to make sure that we're digitizing, capturing information, records, et cetera. So it's managed a bit differently, but we have two arms of outreach for NIPA and Canals.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Christine. Appreciate that. And obviously it's ultimately all about team and talent. So top of the list priority. So thank you for the overview. Our last presentation today, Saul Rojas, obviously the world in which we live and operate is all the more volatile, unpredictable, challenging. So as an organization, we need to ensure we're responsive, appropriately nimble, and resilient. So Saul, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Good afternoon, Chairman, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. Today, I would like to talk to you about resilience and how it directly ties into NIPA's 2030 vision. As we all know, the world and our industry is changing. Some of the changes occur at a steady state, such as climate change, and some of the changes occurred acutely, as we will see in the new normal post-COVID-19. For NIPA, we need to continue living up to our legacy of being a resilient company. As we go into a decade where our grid will transform, our current operating paradigm will be challenged. NIPA and Canals need to be even more resilient, and we need to ensure that resilience is part of our DNA. Next slide, please. We have all heard the term resilience, and it has a broad meaning. To some, resilience means cyber and physical security. To others, resilience means climate adaptation. And resilience can also mean personal endurance. This is the beauty of the term resilience. Its meaning is adaptable. But for us, NIPA and Canals, we need to set a North Star as we forge ahead on our resilience journey. Hence, we will use this definition to guide us there. This definition is based on Presidential Policy Directive 21 issued back in 2013. To ensure the resilient critical infrastructure, we and our assets are critical infrastructure. Next slide, please. As I noted, NIPA has a legacy of being a resilient company, and this is our current framework that is holding the fort, but it will need to evolve. And of course, as we evolve, we need to build upon our past successes from impactful events such as Hurricane Irene, Sandy, Maria, or COVID-19 to the more routine events. We will continue evolving our mindset at NIPA and Canals from the what is now to the what is next. Taking a line from Gil, we need to be like a GPS and have the ability to recalculate quickly if there's a change in direction. Next slide, please. To ensure we embed resilience into the NIPA and Canals DNA, we need to continue executing our core programmatic element, which include business continuity planning, crisis management, compliance, and of course, cyber and physical security. But now we need to think beyond that. Our threat vectors are evolving. For example, as companies push for digitization by introducing IT and OT devices into the workplace, the threat landscape naturally grows. Also, we are critical infrastructure, so our adversaries may include advanced persistent threats such as nation states. Another clear example is our supply chain, which we can no longer take it for granted. A disruption halfway around the world can impact our business, and our supply chain can be used to infiltrate our business as well. In short, we need to tackle the wide array of resilient challenges. This needs to be done from a top-down and bottom-up approach, as every employee has a role. Next slide, please. To achieve, the NIPA and Canals Resilience Strategy, we have a 3-point plan. First, we need to take our current resilience framework and develop and empower an enterprise-wide resilience functions that sees threats and risk through a wide-angle lens and manages them with macro lens precision. Second, we need to enhance our capability to identify strategic enterprise risks through horizon scanning. For example, what does Shell and BP see that Exxon does not see, and vice versa in regards to their divergent strategies on the future of fossil fuels? Lastly, we need to have a common operating picture, understood by all employees at all levels, to have the situational awareness capability for effective decision-making, rapid actions, and appropriate mission execution. I am looking forward to leading our resilience journey as part of NIPA's Vision 2030. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks very much, Saul. Yeah, thoughts, questions for, I think we've proven to be very nimble organization in terms of the response to COVID and where we find ourselves today. So proud of our ability to be a leader in demonstrating our resilience. So well done, Saul and team, and I know you'll keep us well positioned to navigate the path going forward. Okay, that concludes our formal presentations for today. Gil, would you like to close with some summary remarks?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, trustees. So this is the end of our strategic retreat, a virtual retreat with the board for this year. As I had mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we do have a finance committee meeting on November 17th. Well, we will discuss with you our budget for 2021 and our 4-year operating financial forecast that underpin this Vision 2030. On December 1st, we will meet with the governance committee to present our final diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. That is a follow-up from our September board meeting. And then to round it out for this year, this very challenging pandemic year, we will have our December board meeting on December 9th, where we will, you will have the opportunity to approve our budget and 4-year financial forecast and our strategic plan, Vision 2030. Again, thank you very much. I want to thank the team, Eve Noel and the strategy group, and everybody else in the executive management team for working hard and putting together what I believe is one of the most, if not the most forward-looking strategy of any utility in the United States. We continue with our legacy of leading from the front and exploring at all times the art of the possible. I want to thank the Board of Trustees for being engaged, providing us with valuable input and ideas to help sharpen our plan, again, for the benefit, ultimately for the benefit of the people of this state. So thank you again to everyone who have contributed to this effort. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks very much, Gil. I'd echo all of those sentiments. Always excited and probably even more proud of where we are as an organization. Applaud your leadership and your entire team, and the discussions of our last 2 meetings well exemplify that. So as Gil said, we've got a string of meetings coming up over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Those who join us for finance, we'll see you next week. Everyone else, have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving, albeit a bit more challenging this year. And we look forward to seeing everyone else on December 9th for our last full board meeting of the year. Thanks very much for joining us, and Have, again, a safe and healthy day.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.